Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. And tonight we're going to be talking basically about food security, but a parallel system of getting safe and affordable food in these times of crisis around the world. And as we know, one of the goals or objectives of the World Economic Forum and their masters is to bring civilization into starvation, but we're not going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to kick off this little live stream before we get our guests on a little video which talks about what is happening in the food industry today. Let's listen to that.
If you know how the food industry works, you might be aware that they regularly use vaccines on, let's say, cows or different farm animals with the purpose of making them allegedly not catch different kind of like farm animal diseases. Well, they're going to start using the mRNA vaccines for that as well. And there's some different experiments with this going on. They're even talking about using it on basic food. Even if you don't eat meat, some of the foods you might consume could now soon have mRNA vaccines in them, and people are naturally concerned about this. On that note too, the CDC is now investigating, along with the FDA, some of the claims around stroke being caused by the vaccines. But there's going to be a lot to go into today, so stick around for that.
Alrighty, so something to just consider when you go to the supermarket and you buy food, because we know who's behind messenger RNA, don't we? Yes, Billy Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. All right, guys, I'm going to get my guests on, and I'm going to get Jacqui Meyer on first, and let's get the show on the road. Here we go. Where's Jacqui? Sorry, guys, I'm just going to get Jacqui up in the right place here. There we go. Got it. try one of the other guests, just work our way around this. Okay, here we go.
Hi, Scott. I can hear you. I can do so. There we are. All right, all good. All good, Scott.
Yes, I am, Scott. Yes, Arthur Meyer, yes. And Neil Taylor's on as well. I'll call it quickly, Scott.
Can you hear me also?
Sorry, Scott. You there? Yes, thank you, Scott, and thank you for having us on your program. And good evening to your listeners, and yes, good evening to all my colleagues on here tonight. Scott, in basic introduction, I think a bit of the history where I come from.
Interrupt you there for a moment, Niels. Scott, Jacqui says you need to call her, and for sure.
Yeah, I have. I'll just call her again. Yeah. Go ahead, Neil.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Just a bit of a history, or when you get older, it becomes a history. My life contained out of the financial world and a bit of the construction world. In 1983, I started off in old building societies, went into the banks as they got merged, and then moved into the pension fund industry. And yeah, in the 2000s, I moved on to my own pillar. There's in the construction and doing some private pension fund works. So that's it. But further than that, I had a very exciting life, but that's for another day maybe. And a lot of experience came through it. But yes, thank you, Scott, for the introduction.
No problems. Now, Jacqui, are you with us now?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Scott.
Good. Jacqui, can you turn your camera on? We need the rose amongst the thorns, you see.
It is on, Scott.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
Now
then
it's.
all-
Oh, it went on briefly, but you're off again. There you go. There you go. There we go. Now we see you. There we see you. Fantastic. All
My
right.
camera's not going on. I'm clicking on the camera, nothing's happening. I don't know why.
Yeah, look, I can see everybody, so everybody's good.
Oh,
You're,
all
you're,
right.
you're all
We can
fine.
see you, Arthur. We can see
Can you
you.
see me?
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Now we did have a brief introduction from Neil. Jacqui, do you want to introduce the rest of the group and of course yourself? Over to you.
Well, hi, Scott, and thank you very much for the opportunity. I'd like to introduce the team we've put together for SAFBCC, South African Food and Beverage Consumer Cooperative. So I'd like to introduce, well, Neil's introduced him, he's introduced himself, and then there's Arthur Schmidt. Arthur, would you like to say a few words? Arthur Schmidt?
Okay. Yes, pretty much a little bit of the background is I spent about 15 plus years in the automotive industry, and so I'm very much familiar with projects, rolling them out, shaping them, so forth, and finance in that sort of arena. So, yeah, then I basically left that to become a pastor after studying for a while, and decided that, you know, we need to do a little bit more than just fill the pulpit and counsel. We actually have to help communities form, and that's pretty much my background, and that's where I am today. Neil and I met up because basically involved in food security at FASA and with other missionary organizations. So we met up that way, and that's how I was brought into this team. And it's been wonderful, been exciting.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
So Arthur Schmidt is our Projects and Business Development Director. Neil is our Chairman. And then we have our Financial Director, which is Arthur Meyer. He is ex-Pepcore. He was the FD of Ackermans for many, many years. And he saw our vision and decided to join us. Arthur Schmidt, Meyer, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks. I was with the Pepco Group for about 30 years, as you said. I started off at Pep Retail, stayed for about 5 years, and I went across to Ackermans, and I was there for almost 20 years, and then I went to Pep Manufacturing, where I was the last 10 years, and then I thought, you know, that's enough of the corporate role. So I did nothing for a while, about 6 months, and I joined SAFBCC.
Yay! Oh, good. And doing a wonderful job. Thank you, Arthur Meyer and Schmidt. And now we want to introduce our Sales and Marketing Director, ons Boer, hy is die boer, and he's the farmer amongst us, and he knows the language of the farmer. He's hands-on. His name is Louis Swanepoel, and his beautiful wife, Krista, who is in charge of our agents. Louis, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Jacqui. Good evening, Scott.
Good evening, Louis.
Good evening, Scott. And to all our viewers, I'm Louis Swanepoel. I'm an entrepreneur and a farmer, as you heard. I've been farming most of my life. In recent years, I established a national distribution network called Beverage, with a mission to distribute healthier, more regenerative products directly from the farmer to the people. And therefore, we make use of housewives, a network of agents, heroic, formidable people that shares our mission, dedicated people that earns an income whilst promoting this unique concept. As the owner of Vrugte Work, I'm very privileged and called to be part of this newly established cooperative, SAFBCC. We are heading towards exciting times, and I have no doubt that SAFBCC will bring change and hope natural as intended. So watch this space.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, Jacqui, you're the managing director of the organization. Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so basically my background is FMCG. I supplied the chain stores for many years. I started at the bottom and I worked myself up to national sales and marketing. So I basically supplied throughout the whole country, from the spaza shop to the hugest macros. I had the privilege of starting from the bottom, so I really could work my way through every nook and cranny of the retail industry. In those years, as a young girl, I still sat across the table from the buyer where he had a book and he had a model stock, and then of course it progressed to computers and the POS system and the systems that we have today. I also dabbled in commodity brokering in my 20s. So I do have a commodity brokerage background. I am familiar with commodities and that industry. And I also, so basically, Neil phoned me and said, look, we've got a crisis coming with the food, and we both saw the vision of having to secure food for South Africa. And then the rest of the team came on board to establish the SAFBCC. We spent a whole year constructing our constitution, which is very unique. It's a consumer cooperative, so it's not your standard cooperative. And so yes, that's a little bit about me, Scott.
Right.
I also am the owner of the Wake Up, Get Up, Stand United Interlinked social media groups, as you know, which takes up a lot of my time, of which, you're also partnered with me a little bit, and it's, on the Wake Up, Get Up, Stand Up interlinked groups.
Look, what impresses me about your group is that you guys have got a lot of experience in the industry. And one of the things that I think people don't realize is what they are starting to do to our food. And that little video clip I showed at the beginning, Jacqui, which talks about mRNA, they're starting to play with our food and put stuff in our food that is not good for us. And I think one of the really exciting things that I've learned about your organization is that you're not going to be party to that. So where, let's say you go to your Pick and Pay or your other supermarket, they might well have fruit, vegetable, meat that's actually been infected with messenger RNA injections. But your produce won't have that.
No, well, that's what we're all about, natural as intended, and regenerative farming. So we want to go back to nature as made by the Creator. We are advocates for natural as intended. So there will be no GMOs, there will be no mRNA, there will be no harmful pesticides. So that's where Louis comes in, where he will make sure that the food that we source is all meets our criteria, which is natural as intended. We want no artificial, no AI, no mRNA, which is AI in our food. We want it natural. Right. We want the seed, which you can put in the ground, that will grow another of its own kind, not a different species entirely.
Yeah.
And this is what they're doing.
Well, I've just got to say, where do I sign up? Because that is such an important issue you've just raised. Now, okay, I want to talk to Arthur Schmidt now. Now, Arthur, you're the Projects and Business Development Director. Talk to us about food security and insecurity and its consequences, and in particular in South Africa.
All right. So, Scott, just to start off, I'd probably like to read an article from the Daily Investor that was written on the 16th of October 2023. And it's titled "Shoprite Warns of Food Insecurity in South Africa." So I'm just going to read a few passages from that article. he has written, by 2025, nearly half of South Africa's population will be food insecure, with 48.96% potentially not having enough to eat. However, the incidence of people escaping food security is improving. In 2020, 52% of South Africa was food insecure. So the projections for 2025 show this is declining to just under 49%. So we can certainly see that there's a problem. In 2020, there was insecurity with regard to food, where people don't know whether they'll actually have a meal. And that insecurity was sitting at 52%. And the projection is only to decrease to 49% by 2025. But the fact that it's decreasing anyway is because people are starting to take responsibility for their own food security. So I further want to read you. This is as well contributing to societal instability, hunger, and also limits economic development. Where it is not addressed, children's cognitive and physical development can be affected, ultimately contributing to an ongoing cycle of poverty. So they're really saying that the ability of a child to learn when they are suffer from malnutrition is rather, it's set back. So it's basically creating another economic crisis because the people aren't developing as they ought to. Their mental capacities are not developing as they ought to. And that can be a real problem when we're looking for reducing unemployment in a nation. Then further, we're just having a look here. This is from the Consumer Goods Council CEO. It's in the same article they quote him. He says, it has just become so difficult for businesses to operate in South Africa due to infrastructure challenges, crime, logistical inefficiencies, and load shedding. And then that there again is backed up by the Pick and Pay chairman, who says this year, he says, the challenge is that the government is not doing its job properly. And now we have to help it doing things for which we are paying tax for it to be done. So we basically seeing here that there is a real big problem in the country with regards to food security. And we are seeing that the food security and production costs are in a crisis in this nation. And we know it's happening in other nations too, but we're addressing this in our nation at the moment. Our food security and production costs are making it difficult for the resolution of the problem, according to these key role players in the current system.
Right.
So so basically, this has been predicted in South Africa for decades already. And, we've put our trust in government, the legislative branch, and industry to solve the problems for us. And the only thing that we found is that what has been happening is they've sustained their profit margins and have gained politically. So in other words, it's political gain and the profit margins have increased, but it's come at a high price. The 52% to 49% food insecurity by 2025. So we basically also sitting in a position where the key beneficiaries, that's the consumer and the farmer, are taking up all the risk with regards to food production and distribution. And, for them to take up the risk when they get in very little return and very little gain on their part, it's not really the way you want to see it.
Right.
They are rewarded with high prices, and the farmers are rewarded with low margins, and that's something that we need to address, especially since we're suffering from shortage of farmers. The average age of farmers in South Africa is around 62 years of age.
Wow.
And judging by the retirement age, it's not so good for us.
Yeah. Now
Okay.
you've raised two very important points, and I'm going to put these to Jacqui. Jacqui,
Okay.
with your system, how do you deliver food to people, and how does the cost of your food compare to that you'd buy in, let's say, a Checkers?
Okay, we are very competitive with our prices. So Louis we would sit and compare prices, and we would do the costings together. The margins on food are not very high. So that's our first question, very competitive. The second question, can you repeat that, Scott?
How do people take delivery of food? Because it's obviously not going to a supermarket.
That's correct. So basically, we have a catalog where we have a Facebook page, and we have the social media platforms. We have a number of agents throughout the country. If you can see on the Telegram groups, it's split up into regions. So I've got 9 different regions there, and each regions have agents. Now, those agents are your tunnies in the dorp, or your Tupperware kind of ladies, or people. Not only that, but people with established business that have taken on SAFBCC as an extra agency, and then they would put in orders, place their orders with us, and we would deliver it through Kudo lockers, or we would deliver to the coordinator, and the coordinator would distribute it to their customers.
Right.
So that's how we operate.
Okay. Now, Neil Taylor, you're the chairman of the organization. Can you talk to us about the risks associated with food supply in this modern society?
Yes, Scott. I think if I can just roll a little bit back on some of the things Arthur Schmidt has said, there's a lot of context in there, and that context is rather kept.
Can you talk to us about the risks associated? If someone's watching this program, please turn the audio down to zip, because it's feeding back to us here in the live stream. Sorry, go carry on, Neil.
Okay. I'm just going to reel a little bit back and what Arthur Schmidt has done on the opening there. It's all in the value chain. You're looking, between you've got the two distinct parties in the food supply, and that's the producer, the farmer, and then obviously the consumer. These two are always challenged in the whole matter of when things goes belly up, call it for that matter. The farmer, as Arthur said, gets least for his product. The consumer starts paying a little bit more. So somewhere along in the value chain, there is a lot of, I think, supply and demand control measures. Now those come before the farmer. If you look at the farmer, he's got an input cost, and from the input cost, obviously he has to deliver it and also get a price and an offset from the balance of the value chain. Now those are the you can say the packaging, the processing, the distribution, and obviously the into the retail and then into the consumer's hands. Now that's the challenge. The big problem is that we only have a handful of corporate parties that's actually supplying into the market. They supply a handful of, between 5 or 10, supplying into the consumer 80% of the population's food. Now that is, and they're also using uncompetitive financial gain in other types of mechanisms as well to actually gain that advantage. Now that's not a good space to be when you have so little competitiveness. And when I say in that value chain, if you look at the input cost for the farmer, some of those industries are either listed And when you pass the farmer again, when it comes to the packaging and processing and distribution, those are also listed onto the, you can say listed onto the stock exchange, I will call it for that matter, very corporate companies. So in between, and at the end, you'll find the consumer. So you have a big challenge in getting food from the farmer in a typical farm-to-plate manner to the consumer. But it's been a challenge like that, and it's developed in such a manner that you'll find that there's very little local competitiveness that can take place in this whole process.
Right.
So because of the financial gain and other mechanism that's there, there's a lot of international interference. You'll find that your export and volatility, regulations and currency manipulation assists rather the larger players in the market. There's a lot of international conflict that happens that adjusts the pricing. There's obviously, as I mentioned, escalating production costs, and all these things apply. And when I say it goes belly up, it means that the producer or the farmer and the consumer is at the bottom end of this. In all this, you'll find that the risk of your quality and nutritional value of your food is at stake as well. So if I take it in the greater picture, in that value chain, there's something that needs a space where we can operate from a local to a regional to a national basis, where people can partake, not be dependent on the multinationals, which is only that handful of people. So there's a lot of context in this, what I've said, but there's a lot of work to be done to actually give space for the independent operators. And I must say, Scott, there's a lot of people that is actually doing good work out there. As we develop ourselves forward, we would like to see ourselves as the platform where these people doing good work. It's not just ourselves actually operating in the space of the independent space. There is quite some good operators out there, and going forward, we're actually inviting those people into that space. But yeah, the main risk at the moment lies between the corporates in the input costs for the producers, then the processing, then the packaging and the delivery to the retailers, and the consumer at the end. We're trying to find that and close that space so that there's a relationship between the farmer and the consumer by creating a vested interest between the parties. I think that's, in short, there's a lot of things associated that we can go into depth, but yeah, that's a quick roundup in the risk associated with the current food supply.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Neil, just sticking with you for a second, why did you decide to set up a cooperative? Why did you decide to set up the organization in that way?
Scott, by its nature, a cooperative, people working together. It's governed by its own constitution. For that matter, that you actually manage it in accordance where you can actually, we have the opportunity here to create a parallel system, and where we can actually make sure that we can guide and allow participation under a certain set of rules in the Constitution. But speaking about Constitution, you know, one must always never forget that in the early 1900s, I think the 1940s there, it was cooperatives that actually brought the agricultural sector in a good space. You found all the towns operating in a good space under cooperatives, whether it's a particular association, whether it's in a particular area or industry in the agricultural area. All had a good space where they were operating, and they made a huge difference between that, you can say, the 1940s to the 1960s and going forward. And then all of a sudden it collapsed. We took a little bit note of that collapse because that was basically the interference that came through where you found that the corporates started finding interest into the cooperatives. So we had to have a good look at that before we actually draw up the constitution, because very little of the newly formed cooperatives actually has had great success. And those that had great success had a bit of a slump due to the influence of, you can say, particular third parties, and there's a few things that went wrong. And we try to capture that and make sure that going forward, this is also in the same sense as a consumer cooperative, but with the intent to form a relationship with the producer. Looking this all in context, we want to create, as I mentioned earlier, a platform where there's a national footprint and that local and regional support structures can connect into it. So it doesn't matter the choice of the association. It could be by individuals, it could be private groups, it could be other cooperatives and other umbrella or schemes under one umbrella situation. So if I can put it in this way, the platform is trying to say that we can actually accommodate everybody to establish a better economy of scale, because in all this, when you're looking at cooperatives, you have any cooperative currently like we start off as a primary cooperative, and the structures that's allowed allows for a secondary participation, secondary cooperative participation, which if there's two cooperatives in the same like-mind thoughts, they can open a second cooperative whereby they can increase the benefit structures. And when you have two secondary cooperatives, you can move into a tertiary, which is actually the ideal space to be, where you can actually get into the financials and financial benefit structures. And all that lies in with actually drawing the participation from all South Africans, whether they belong to current groups, cooperatives, or on the individual base. So we're trying to create that platform and make sure that we can have that space for those people to partake. The critical mass, as I mentioned, always renders the benefit options and increases all the potentiality around financial and technology, quality in your food production, training requirements, and opportunities that comes from it by itself. In itself, a cooperative, you can have barter exchange. Some of the cooperatives, and I've read a couple of new and existing cooperatives constitutions, and barter exchange is amongst members. And as a simple example, people can be in a fresh produce space, and they can be planting different types of vegetables, and they can actually share it amongst themselves and then distribute it. So it's a very simplistic way to explain it. But barter exchange can happen between the cooperatives, whether it is either on a secondary base or on a tertiary base. So yes, the opportunities within a cooperative and its structure and legal structures is much more in a space where people can partake and they can partake as a cooperative from another association with each, or they can partake in their own format. But we try to create that platform to make sure people can have that space there.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there's the consumer awareness of food security, and then the production of obviously of food and standing in that gap for our food security.
Right. Now, just for everyone who's watching, we've got about 100 people watching on YouTube, and we've got about 500 watching on Loving Life TV through our own platform. Guys, if you look at below the video, you'll see all the social media links, even to the regions, so you can actually click on those and then go and interact with someone from SAFBCC through that social media link. And we've also got Jacqui's phone number in there as well, and she's the managing director of the organization. So there's a lot of options to communicate with this group. I think what they're doing is quite fantastic, because I don't like people fiddling with my food, and GMO food is not good. Okay, so just moving on. Arthur Schmidt, back to you. Tell us about the vision, mission, and aims of this organization.
Okay, Scott. Yes, Neil was actually covering some of it already. I mean, the inferior quality of food, its nutritional value, and doubtful origins are the things that we are trying to address. And we want to address that by bringing the consumer and the farmer together, the food producer together. So as Neil was saying there, we wanting to create this representative platform that represents both the agricultural farmer and consumer. This umbrella body is to be joined by freedom of association. You know, it's not like the organizations today that you're forced to join them, the controlling organizations that are regulating food supply and so forth. This is a body that people will join by freedom of association. And so this umbrella body is there to be able to help people understand where their food comes from, how it was made, and how it got to them. So it's not an anomaly to them, it's not a mystery. Then further, we aim to secure our own food sources and distribution channels. So we intend to do this by forming good relationships with our farmers and food producers, and pretty much by providing larger markets. And how we intend to do that is, as you heard already, Jacqui was mentioning the agent infrastructure, but essentially we're creating more outlets. And that agent infrastructure filters into the retail, filters into distribution centers and so forth, so that we've actually got a network of local hubs that's outside of the regular food distribution channels and sources. So in essence, we will be providing further supply into the market through different outlets, but it would be our own distribution channels. So that is what we're busy doing already. We've already started with that and have accomplished this and are rolling out food using these channels, and we're just expanding it and growing it. Further to this, we need to strengthen the relationship or partnership between the consumer and the farmer through, as Neil was telling you, a joint cooperative structure. If they need to work together. And that's what we're doing. The platform provides for that. And as we go on, as the members work together and make decisions together, they will be working together and collaborating together more closely and coming up with the solutions. Further, we want to interconnect communities that have similar values of authenticity, regenerative practices, and human interaction. So essentially what that means is we want to interconnect communities that don't want artificial stuff. They don't want food made for them synthetically. They want real food. And they also want to work with real people instead of artificial intelligence communicating with them. These communities, we want them to interact, and we want to help them do that.
Right.
You want to chip in there?
No, carry on.
Okay, so basically we're merging common synergies. So where people are like-minded in this regard, we're merging these synergies to create a national supply chain and distribution chain, to create a distribution network across this nation made up and organized by these very communities collaborating. And the aim is to reduce our input costs, our distribution costs, increase our outlets, secure the customer base of customers seeking sources of food that are more natural. So that's the market that we're reaching.
Right.
Further, we have been educating the consumer in taking charge of their own food security. You've known Jacqui for a while. You know she's been doing that on her groups, for her activist groups and so forth, for quite some time. And also SAFBCC, Louis has been doing it also. We've all been doing it, even myself, working on the team at Freedom Alliance South Africa. We've been doing this. So, but the main thing is SAFBCC has been educating the consumer in taking charge of food security, taking charge means that we're sitting in a society where people have things happen to them. They go to a school meeting, a parent-teachers meeting, and they hear what's going to happen. They're not interacting, not engaging, not taking control or influencing the situation. So that's one example. Now, the same thing's happening with food, the same thing's happening with water supply, the same thing's happening with electricity supply. People are just sitting and letting it happen to them. But now we are educating consumers to take charge of food security. We are teaching them how to support farmers and food producers. We are teaching them about the investment and financial interest opportunities that are in the supply chain, the food supply chain, and available through the critical mass cooperative participation. So that means through lots of people working together in the cooperative. So, and this is working, we can see it. There are many trading hubs and platforms that are starting up, the farm to plate initiatives, product innovation. Just as Neil was saying earlier, it's an exciting time to be involved in this, to see the evolution of what's happening as people are rising up and taking charge of their security.
Right.
And further, we want to entrench ourselves in communities. You want to ask something there, Scott?
No. I was just listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So we want to entrench ourselves in the communities, and we're doing that through our local agents, our local agent, farmer, and consumer networks, the co-op membership, and vested interest projects. That's how we are going to be entrenched in the communities. Our focus is human contact and human relationships. And this is how we intend to do it,
right.
Through the membership, community feedback, and member participation. So the members will participate in decision making in the future, and in this way we intend to consider the needs and aspirations of these communities that we're entrenching ourselves in, becoming part of that community. We also want to become the gatekeepers of quality, nutritional value, and the replenishability of our food through ensuring the progression of all facets of our products back to natural as intended. So that's really where we want to arrive. We know that it's a progression. The food production has moved so far away from what is natural. And so all our initiatives is to take it back then, so that the product becomes more and more natural as intended.
Fantastic.
So that's pretty much what we intend to do and are doing, and it's working today.
Great. Now, Jacqui, I'm going to go back to you with this question, and we're talking about opportunities for the consumer. And before you get into that, there's something I just want to raise with you and Louis, because Louis is the guy who deals mainly with the farmers. I heard what Arthur was just saying about trying to form a relationship with the farming community so that you can actually, get a more reliable supply. Have you considered, with the people who sign up as part of your organization to actually buy product, have you considered adding things like farm visits and farm stays where people can actually go and stay on the farm? Obviously, they'll be paying for the privilege, but they'll be able to see how the crops are harvested. They'll be able to go and walk amongst the chickens, just that sort of opportunity. I think would be a fabulous thing to have as almost a sideline, but it underscores the freshness of your food and what your mission is all about. Over to you.
I'd like Louis to answer that question because we had chatted about it and quite excitedly so. We've had a couple of video clips of chickens running around in regenerative farming and we've debated this. So Louis, would you like to answer that question? Louis?
Certainly, Jacqui. Yeah. Yes. Scott, we already into that. We have farmers that's really into regenerative farming practices. There is guest farms on one of the farms there, JP de Villiers, down in the Coop area in the Western Cape, where you have really nice accommodation there, houses on the farm, and where people can go and pick, your children pick fruits on the trees. There's chickens in the land, there's sheep and pigs and whatever. You really get a nice farming atmosphere. And on all that, you also see the old way. He explained it very well, and that is what we are striving to do. We must be quite honest to each other. The old conventional way, say, from the 60s up until still now, like it is, we must be honest to each other to say that did more harm than good. We have to go back to the old days where chickens and pigs and sheep were running around and doing their job and using that fertilizing the crops and things like that, and stay away from chemicals and pesticide and all that, and put more carbon back in the ground. So we're definitely there, and our community and our farmers, it's our strive every week. For the past 4 years, I'm busy with that. I'm visiting those farms. I learned a lot from them. Get more aware, and our agents, we update them and we train them, and we give also the message through to to our clients, so that they can know how this things is working the old way. So yeah, I answer your question.
That was great, and I just want to say you raised a naughty word there. You talked about carbon, which according to the climate change apologists is something that we should not be talking about, but I have a very different perspective. And I also just want to say that what you're talking about reminds me rather of what the Amish people in America do. They haven't changed their farming methods since the 1800s. They travel around in horse and carriage. They don't use cars. They rarely use electricity. They do for refrigeration, but apart from that, they don't use the internet. They just have this very, very structured life, and they're doing incredibly well as a community because they haven't got all this shit in their food today.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah. Now, Jacqui, let's get back to you. Tell us about the opportunities for the consumer, the people who actually decide that they're going to go with you to get their food.
Okay, well, there are a lot of opportunities. They can own a vested interest in our agricultural and food production network. They can become part of a critical mass that may allow for a better financial service and other related commercial discounts. There will be shareholding options in our cooperative, not immediately, but certainly in the near future. There's better barter exchange options. There's a share in a better food quality and control system, an independent choice of association, membership and support of the local and national food production and distribution network, and food security during uncontrolled national or international events. So we want our consumers to be hands-on, to get involved. It is a consumer cooperative, not just a normal cooperative. So the consumer plays a very large role in the success of this cooperative.
Right. Okay. Now, Louis, I'm going to go back to you. regarding the opportunities for farmers who might be listening tonight.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Scott, I'm going to put that in Afrikaans.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Is it okay with you?
That's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Okay. But just before we go to that point, it came to my mind while we were busy talking about this carbon thing. You know, I always tell people this thing. They must go on Netflix and look at Kiss the Ground. You know, that is all about, that will give people outside, our viewers and everybody, give them a better picture of regenerative and where we are going. That is really a documentary. It's very, very, very nice. I really encourage everyone to go and see that thing. Okay, so die voordeel vir die boer. SAFBCC verwelkom alle boere, of dit nou klein is en of dit groot is, verwelkom ons. We welcome all the farmers, you know, big and small, commercial, intensive, whatever. We all welcome those people to come on board. Die nuwe verhouding tussen SAFBCC en die boere bevorder die bewusmaking van die boer, sy produk en ook sy poging om meer regeneratiewe en gesonde produkte te lewer. You know, that encouraged the farmer at the end of the day to get into this whole thing. It's a big word, this regenerative thing, but it's better to use that word than organic. Organic can get very, very technical. But there's awareness outside there that people, you know, they need to go back to the old roots. And this is a very good platform to help people, because we weekly, I receive a lot of calls, people asking, but tell us more about this regenerative. So we want to put, you know, to give all this information regarding that. It's simple. I mean, it's old roots. We go back there. That I believe is a big advantage for them. Awareness, people, and they ask more about that, and you know, they really want to go that way. They really want to leave a greener footprint out there. So die boer het meer afset tot sy beskikking. Dit gee deur hierdie produkte. Dit gee verligting vir beperkte kontraklewerings. Die ou probleem waarmee ons sit, the old problem that we have faced every year. En die boere het geleentheid om groter volume produkte te lewer en voortans sal die koöperasie boere ook finansiëel, ek dink Neil kon weer daarvan praat of sê op 'n later stadium, help met produksie, om die produksie te verhoog. Daar sal ook in die toekoms geleentheid wees vir aandeelhouding in die koöperasie. So, ek dink op die einde van die dag, die iewers moet iemand 'n verskil maak en moet ons in die regte rigting begin beweeg. Daar is legio voordele vir die boere, want daar's 'n awareness wat ons onder die eindconsumer kweek. En daar's al hoe meer navraag vir dit. Ek meen, ons moet vir mekaar sê, hierdie chemiese goede is besig om ons mensdom te vernietig. As jy van 50 jaar terug of 30 jaar terug selfs, hoeveel gevalle was daar van kanker? En wat dit nou die geval is, waar elke tweede, derde ou het kanker. Dit is baie sleg. En waarom kan jy dit toeskryf? Ja, Scott, that is in a nutshell, you know, there's really big advantages for the farmers who wants to jump on this wagon, you know, to go along this way.
Right. Now, I've got a couple of questions. I've been fielding these questions as we've been talking, and these are really aimed at you, Louis, so if I can just keep you on just to address this. Michael Lawson has said, how will farmers prevent cross-pollination and syntamination, whatever that is? Oh, maybe it's contamination. I think it's pollination and contamination. And he also says, I find that the supermarkets up prices by 400 to 500%. That puts it out of reach of too many. Do you want to address those, or if someone else can do the second one about the pricing, maybe the financial director, Arthur Meyer. We'll come to Arthur in a second. But yeah, just talk to us about how farmers stop cross-pollination and contamination with the GMO type foods.
I hope I understand you correctly, Scott. I think it's all about education, I would say. When it comes to that. If you're talking about pollination now, I'm not sure to what you are referring. Are you talking about a grain, or are you talking now about fruits and vegetables?
What I've heard, and this is, look, I'm not a farmer, but what I've heard is that let's say, for example, you've got a mealie field, and you use natural forms of growing. If there's a GMO mealie field next door, some of that pollination can come into your natural food and contaminate it.
Yeah, okay, I understand you right. This is, as I said, education, and awareness. At the end of the day, you have to be partnered with your neighbors. I mean, if you want to go the non-GMO way, it is a purpose on each and everyone's shoulder. You can't, the pollination, it's a big problem. You'll end up getting that engineer manipulated things in your harvest. So this is a thing that people have to be really honest with each other. When it comes to that, and we had that pretty much of those things in the past, and that's why we have this problem at such extent that farmers and neighbors, at the end of the day, if they don't join forces, you won't accomplish this whole thing of producing a non-GMO maize for example.
Okay. Now
it remains a big challenge. It remains a big challenge. It is what it is.
Yeah. Now, Jacqui, do you want to respond to the pricing issue that supermarkets push prices up by 400 to 500%?
I can't, they cannot justify that, Scott. I mean, basically, in a nutshell, I worked as a marketing and sales, and sat across the table with the buyers, and I find it mind-blowing that we've come to this point, because, I mean, I've been out of that industry for about 15 years now, but the markup wasn't very, very big in those years. It seems to me that the insatiable greed of these corporates have just gone nuts, and it's really just profiteering. I remember when I was supplying the chain stores, how we had to pay for advertising. Initially, I mean, I've gone back many, many years. I'm talking 50 years now, 40 years. In those years, or I don't know, just in those years, it was honorable. We sat across the table, and there was a 25-30% markup, and it was a fair deal. Whereas now the suppliers are absolutely screwed in terms of those retailers want more and more. They literally squeeze blood out of the stone.
Yeah.
So in other words, I know for a fact you have to pay for marketing, then you have to have merchandisers, then you have to pay for your own merchandisers. Then if you want a front end, you've got to pay for that. It's endless. It's and obviously that all gets added to the cost, which puts up the cost price to the consumer. So yeah, Scott, in my personal opinion, it's profiteering,
Right.
and it's corporates that are insatiably greedy.
Yeah. Well, look, obviously it does happen. Now, Louis, I'm going back to you again. What are the opportunities for your agents?
Okay, But I just want to say something there, what Jacqui said is very important. And that is what our biggest role, give the farmers, a voice outside there. It's very important, just to make them feeling important again, because those people is the people responsible for feeding us. Regarding the agents, Scott, we've got a bunch of women all around South Africa that is agents, and they are part and parcel of our whole initiative. They are the important role players that's doing this very important thing. They are the ones who dealt with the client. It's impossible to work with 30 or 40 or 50,000 people, as from a point of SAFBCC. There's no way. There's just too much work on this. So we rely pretty much on these agents. They spread the word. If we work on our products, things that come to play, that's available in the market, and they go out and they bring the message out there, through various platforms, and then they do all the orders and stuff like that, and then it works through to head office. At a certain point in time, then we deliver the goods, to various drop-off points, and then there is, all those people gathering there around with their clients, and there's a synergy taking place, and there's great interaction between clients and agents, and that makes everyone's heart so glad, because I think at the end of the day, what happened, everything got so on a point, like so commercial, so dead, it's like computers everywhere. It is keyboard warriors and stuff like that. We're coming back now, whereby we have interaction between good products from regenerative farming activities to people, real people, not computers, not online things, nothing of that. People, real people. And we keep them the whole time aware of everything that's happening on the farm. Once they flowering the trees, say for instance, if we talk about fruit trees, we create some content. We show them how it looks. You won't believe me, Scott. There's a lot of people that don't know this whole story. They don't know where does the fruit comes from. They think it came from Pick n Pay and all that.
Well, the ANC members of Parliament do.
Exactly. I didn't want to mention that, but yeah, now you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's nice to bring that whole content, the whole thing, where it started. When it comes to the point where it's been harvested, packed in a packed house proper, and then it's been packed on a truck, and then from there it goes. And we keep the clients as well as our agents, or other way around, our agents as well as our clients, the whole time on board, so that they can see how it works. It's not like things get packed and transported to a warehouse, to a cold room where it stands for 5 days, whatever. That thing is, it's like 3 days. Once it's been picked, it has been packed and it's been put on the truck. It goes to the various drop-off points to your table, 3 days. And that makes one hell of a big difference in taste, in everything. I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that point, Louis, because one of the issues I have with supermarkets is that sometimes they store their vegetables and their fruit for literally months in cold rooms. And you're talking about fresh food straight from the farm. Do you want to tell us, you've got the insight on this, how is the food that you deliver to people compared to that which you buy in the supermarket that's probably been sitting in a cold room for 6 months?
Well, ask our customers. They will tell you the whole story. They will give you a book. You know, the very first thing is the moment when you taste the apricot. You know, there's something that happened in your mind, something that take you back years back when we were young, and we were running around on the farm there in the orchards and stuff, and you were not supposed to do that, but you go in there and you pick some of those fruits, and the taste, you know, you're hungry, and then you take a bit of that. You know, that, wat noem julle dit nou in Engels? In Afrikaans noem ons dit nostalgie.
Oh, nostalgia.
Yeah, that is the main thing that's happening. The moment when it looks, you know, it's one thing to look at the fruit and it looks like an apricot, but it doesn't taste like that. It tastes like the ones that you buy from the chain stores. But that is one of the big things, you know, that you really taste an apricot like it was natural as intended,
and
like God created it.
Yeah, now, just on that point, Louis, I understand that things like apples, they actually spray. They put a coating on them so that they keep their color, even though they're old. So they use this spray, and so if you buy that fruit and you don't wash it, you're going to eat something that's actually not good for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It all's about a longer shelf life. You know, I can understand that if they export those things and do that, but you know, for our market and what we are doing, exactly. I'm so glad that you mention all these things, because this is what we are about. You know, we want to make a difference outside there. We really want to bring the real thing to the table of our consumers
without all the add-ons.
So we're not doing that. Sorry.
Without all the add-ons, like what we're just talking
about.
Without
all the
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, look, I've got another question here from the side chat. Peter Munz has asked, and he says, please ask Jacqui, Neil, and Arthur. So I'll leave it to you guys to choose who's going to respond to this. How we can assist in KwaZulu Natal with the Farm to Family initiative.
Can I go there, Scott?
Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
And I'd like to say hello to Peter. I know Peter well.
Everybody knows Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Well-recognized man in his face. Look, in the kickoff, obviously, the big intention is to create that synergy amongst local, you can say local areas where people actually create their hubs. And just to fill in what Arthur Schmidt said earlier, is where people come together in those local areas. They form these mini hubs and eventually into a regional structure, and all that plays out into a regional representation that feeds into the national distribution. So it's all meant, and every province has that opportunity actually to partake. And I think I have had a word with Peter at a stage where that representation, obviously out of the Natal region, is going to become important, and every other region. The bigger context is that every little town in its region, in its province, develop that hub. Because once you develop that hub, you're actually working on the arteries of the distribution. And as that grows, and even though people are from different, as I mentioned earlier, from different cooperatives, associations, in whatever format, and Arthur Schmidt has also touched on that, is where they join up. And to set an example, you actually form a hub with people that think that they're in competition, but they're not in competition, because there's so many good people doing good work, and they just need to get together, and that hub forms. And that's where that representation gets built from. And that typical representation, and I know Peter's got some past experience in this field, so I will invite him to actually see what they can do in that hub in the KwaZulu Natal area. But it is the participation not of a particular group. We're just exercising that platform where the contribution can be made to join up. Currently, we have obviously the agents that we are dealing with, and they are doing a phenomenal job. And I'm quite sure that the amount of agents is going to grow into where the request and into further into the country, so we can open that distribution arteries. Obviously, in anything in the logistics format, you have to look at where your main veins are, and from there you actually grow into these other arteries. And that when it takes to the province, we don't know exactly where they're going to grow faster than other areas. It will be developed by the local communities moving into the regional areas. So, Scott, what I'm trying to say in short, we're trying to open those gateways for everybody to participate and understand that nobody in the food security of South Africa is in competition. We're actually in the same boat as we move along. And all these good people doing the good works, I can call many up that's actually doing good works in that area, that actually just stand together, form those up. And if you look at it in a retail context, that hub becomes a wholesale distribution DC format in that region. Where it develops, it's up to locals actually to create that, and we inspire them. Further than that, obviously, we're continuing with the agents and the people that is coming onto our network, but we encourage everybody else actually to participate. So to answer Peter's question, Peter, that hub is created by the locals there, and where it develops from is dependent on the locals and the regional areas and how they get together. The agents operating in those areas of critical importance, because they will be coordinating most of this. We're going to use the agents and the coordination of that to actually develop and bring those groups together and make sure that they can actually manifest and strengthen and build upon the interest that's developed in areas. And some areas develop much faster than others, but yeah, there's a great opportunity for everybody to partake and build this network and artery and the platform that's been put on the table. Obviously, the agents that is on our platform will lead and make sure that that coordination can take place, and we encourage them and encourage people out there to actually contact into those leads. And I know Peter has got a lot of influence in the different areas, and so also a lot of other people. And with those networks also coming together to make sure that that is driven, but it's driven through the format of the agents that we have at the moment, and make sure that it delivers into those local and regional areas. I don't know if I answered that right, Scott, but just for Peter's purpose. Yeah. Peter, you're not in the dark. Yeah, the opportunity is there to grow, and I think we're just fitting into the greater picture, each one of us, and all those people doing good works out there. Right. Now,
I want also to say something on that point, Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I want also from my side, from the marketing side, I want to say that, we're using ordinary people, that became agents for SAFBCC. We started that back 4 years back at Vrugte, and we adapt that whole system into SAFBCC. And we really want to encourage and invite those people, but more important for me, or going together in a parallel, we also need those farmers, that really wants to make a difference, that really wants to leave a green footprint for them to come, to come on board. We really give them an open invitation for agents as well as farmers that is regenerative ingestel op regeneratiewe boerderypraktyke. Kom asseblief na vore.
Okay. Now, yeah, go ahead, Jacqui.
I also want to reiterate on that point. There are a lot of small farmers, I'm talking more than subsistence farmers, that were hit very hard during the COVID lockdown and literally closed shop. And we are appealing to those farmers to get hold of us. We want to encourage you to join hands with us, because we need you to start farming again. We need you as regenerative farmers to take hands with us, and you are the people that we are appealing to you today. I know there's a lot of farmers in the Karoo, in the Orange Free State, all over the country that are battling to get a foot start. They might have started producing crops or their cattle or whatever, but haven't got an outlet. And we're appealing to you to get hold of us as your outlet, because we will be able to help you in distribution throughout the country.
Okay, fantastic. Now, Arthur Meyer, you've been very, very patient sitting there, and now it's your time to shine. Just for the record, Arthur Meyer is the financial director of SAFBCC. So, Arthur, just to kick off, tell us about memberships. How does that work? Arthur? Have you got your audio on?
I think he's on mute.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute there.
Okay, now we hear you. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. At this stage, we've just got trading partners, which is really our agents out in the field. With the whole, we got off to quite a good running start because Louis Swanepoel had a network in place, 80 board, and we amalgamated with him. So that's given us a little bit of a running start, and we're working on membership, because really the reason why we formed the cooperative is, as Neil said earlier, is really working together, and we also want to get communities to work together. So we're probably going to start launching memberships early in the new financial year, or the new calendar year, should I say. So we're busy working on that right now. We haven't really put that out yet. We haven't opened it up yet, but behind the scenes we're currently working on that, because really we would like to build our membership eventually to easily up to 100,000, 150,000. Really, the more we can do, and it's really about involving the small guys as well. Especially farmers, for example, who haven't got really access to markets and things like that. We would certainly want to bring those sort of guys on board as well. In South Africa, unless I've got it completely wrong, most countries are concerned about food security. The government in South Africa doesn't seem particularly concerned about that. There's very little help going to farmers. Really, they're pretty much on their own. I know I come from the Karoo, and I know a couple of farmers personally where, for example, the infrastructure, their road infrastructure, they just haven't, since the late 90s, there's been nothing done to the roads, and it wrecks their vehicles, and they can't get the things to market. So it's really it's a long and tough road ahead. We really just want to start somewhere.
Right. Now, one other question for you, Arthur. The progress and development of SAFBCC going forward. You mentioned you want like 100,000 members or plus in the future. That'll give you considerable clout. Do you see the supermarkets sort of like trying to muscle in on your territory?
It's something we've spoken a bit about. I wouldn't think so at this stage. We're pretty much aiming for really non-mainstream, I would say. So probably not at this stage. The agents that we've got at the moment are pretty much housewives operating in small towns. trading through as trading partners with us, it's an opportunity for additional income for them. So we don't really see them as a threat to us at this stage. So we're probably pretty safe from it right now. I suppose you never can tell going forward. But, yeah.
Okay. Now, Jacqui, obviously
Can I
one of...
just comment on that? I just
Yeah,
want to say that
go ahead.
we are a parallel system, and the reason that we established this parallel system is purely we don't want to compete with the chain stores. We tried everything, Scott. As an activist, we tried to beat them at their own game, and it didn't work. So we decided we're not going to crop in their kraal. We're going to make our own way on a parallel path.
Right.
So really, we are not interested in the corporations. We're not interested in them at all. They can do whatever they like, but we're interested in the people, because corporate is AI, and we want people to be involved in people business.
Yeah.
So we are appealing to those farmers in the Karoo that as I said, battling to get a head start. We will help them. So it's the farmers that the corporates don't want to invest in, we want to invest in, because we see the potential. The corporates are just big money-making machines that are going to churn out what they churn out in the chain stores. We want to have that human interaction and use our almighty infinite intelligence to create this parallel system, which we don't really see as competition to the existing.
Right.
If that explains it.
Now, Miss Melissa,
Scott, can I also?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, similar to what Jacqui's saying there, the market share that we're looking at are people who are already looking for food that is healthier, food that is more natural. So that's the target, and we're looking for the people, the market who want human interaction, and we want to know where their food comes from. They don't want that to be a mystery. So, the market we're looking at is it's growing, and it's certainly, we're not intending to be competing against the current supply chain. We already said there's 52% food insecurity. There's really no need for competition. We need supply.
Right.
And I realized that Arthur Meyer got stuck with one of my questions there with regards to the membership in the co-op. What is the co-op without a membership? Now, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for people that have the same interest, the people that want to participate in engineering the solutions to solve this food insecurity. It's just not nice to think that many people, when their day starts, are not sure if they're going to get a meal today. That's a lot of people. The percentage is way too high. So, we're looking for people that want to join this co-op, that want to address these issues, and they are wanting to invest in a South Africa that's going to be different in the next few years. So, the membership is core to a co-op, and for this reason, we do in our due diligence here, we're spending a lot of time on how this membership will benefit our agents, the farmers, the consumer, and how we can add value. This is a value chain that we want to add value to everything we provide to them. So, there's some interesting initiatives that we're working on with regards to membership, and we can only say watch the space in the new year. But I'd also like to come back to Peter's question, if I can. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The family that needs to get food and get it at a lower price, they need to start teaming up with their neighbors. They need to start teaming up with their network, their friends, their family, their neighbors. whether they're in a club, a social club, whether it be a church or some other community organization, the people need to team up. But let's just focus on the family. They need to team up and they need to elect for themselves an agent. They need to register, they need to contact Louis' department, they need to register an agent, and that agent needs to start taking their orders and bringing food in there. And once they start, they will see the benefits and the opportunity available. I know Louis already knows what I'm talking about. But when it comes to this, a family that needs to get that food at a reasonable price, he has an opportunity if they will team up and work together. The next thing is people that are making secondary food production, whether it be jams and so forth, whatever it is. They need to understand that if they work together and they were to elect among them an agent to bring in their raw materials through SAFBCC, they're going to see the benefits of it based on price, based on quality, and so forth. So encourage them to register as agents and to team up in a group.
No, I just want to.
Okay.
I just want to raise something that's just shot through my head while you were talking, and I think of all the private estates that are right around South Africa, and some of them have got 100+ homes in them. What a fantastic idea to have someone in that estate to become like the delivery agent.
That's exactly it.
And you know, they could produce a little brochure every week where people fill in the amount of whatever they want. They pay, and then that person takes a delivery from your organization, the SAFBCC, and they then deliver to people within that private estate.
That's good.
Correct.
Oh, what a
That's
fantastic...
exactly what.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, Scott,
that's part and parcel of the idea.
that initiatives are brilliant initiatives, and we inspire everybody actually to take charge wherever they are, and then contact through the agent there with Louis and them. But typically, like that initiative, which we'll support in any viewpoint, any other initiatives, just to bundle them up. Because remember, just to get back what I said earlier, whereby we can create that hub. Now we're coming to the logistics. And the bigger those people get together, that particular quality, that estate, and somebody in the town, and then eventually you get the interlinks coming, not the buckies. And that creates that value into that value chain and discounting factors that comes to play. As I mentioned, all these contributions are extremely important from every sector, and that particular one I like very much, Scott. It's a good idea, but it takes the initiative of one person to stand up and say, I'm taking this into this community, and we're trying to get that encouragement. And soon in the new year, obviously, we will see how we can get that message into the public space, that we're not in an opposition to anybody out there bringing an initiative to the table. That initiative is what we are about. It's actually creating that critical mass. From that critical mass, we can establish people even in different groups, getting that wholesale or DC going, where the veins of the logistics actually open up. And those typical ideas are critical to what we thought patterns.
No, okay, I'm about to wrap up this live stream. We've been going for 90 minutes and it's been fascinating. But before we do, Jacqui, over to you. Your marketing is based on social media platforms, and that's a very inexpensive but very effective way to actually work. So congratulations on doing that. As I said earlier, all the links to all your regions and your Facebook page and even Jacqui's direct phone number are all below this video, so you can actually use any of those or contact Jacqui direct. Do you want to speak about the social media platforms and how you work on those, Jacqui?
Yes, well, SAFBCC have 2 groups on WhatsApp where people can connect, and they have the regional groups on the Telegram. So basically, they can join the Telegram groups and it's already established network in the various regions. So if you're in Natal and you want to hook up with the people in Natal who are already part of SAFBCC, go to the Telegram group and become a member, and then just start chatting to whoever's in your area. And that's how we do it. And they swap ideas, they swap initiatives, they even sell to each other, barter or whatever. And then we have other different groups which are not SAFBCC, but I've been doing them for over a year or two, and that is training people on non-GMO. So we've got the No to GMO group. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. We've also got supplier groups where people can join and offer what they've got. And then we've got other initiatives, as you know, weather manipulation, which affects our food supply, and other activism groups. So we encourage everybody to join those groups and become part of the community.
Right. Okay. Now, I've got a couple of comments here I'm just going to close up this live stream with. Melissa Gonzalez says, we have ordered products from SAFBCC already. Everything was very, very good quality. And Louise Christine says, it's sad but true, but if there's one person you can be trusted with your food, it's Louis Swanepoel. So there you go. Louis, there's a shout out to you. So, yeah, look.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting discussion. Now, is there someone within the group who would like to, maybe I should ask Neil, is there something you'd like to say just in wrapping up this live stream?
Yes, Scott. Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity of coming through tonight. As a roundup, from SAFBCC side, it is obviously, if you look at the cooperative, it is for everybody in South Africa, and that includes other associations. I think I've rehearsed this already a few times, but it's for any other groups, associations, cooperatives, to join hands so that we can form that critical mass in order for us to also be competitive. And to come back to that, the value chain in our food, the value chain is critical. If we need to break the horse's back here, we need to get into the good costs of the farmer. We need to get involved in the processing, packaging, distribution networks, and be able to do that. The critical mass that we actually partake in and form, that opens it up. Now, it won't happen all at once, but it will happen with the interest grows. And there's a lot of interest at the moment, and we actually got some veins open, and it's actually going very well. Louis has done immense work in the past, and it's actually built into a nice network that obviously is going to grow in this initiative and puts the step ahead for us at the moment. But there's a lot of work still to be done, and we ask everybody to join up in the agents and contact there. Louis is taking a lead for us there in the sales and marketing, and making sure that we actually form unity in South Africa. This is not an establishment, it's a platform for people actually to form part and join into the greater good, going forward into our food security and obviously nutritional value of our food. It goes hand in hand. The one left as the other one goes, and I think all of us can work together. But yeah, thank you very much, Scott. It was really, I think maybe Jacqui will end up, yeah.
Okay. Over to you, Louis, and then Jacqui. Yeah, go ahead, Louis.
Okay. I've got a message out there for our farmers. You don't need to be a BEE accredited and all that things. You know, you can come like you are. You know, if you have a synergy of what we want to achieve at the end of the day, you are more than welcome. And also a word of thanks to all the farmers out there. You know, people that's really giving their everything to make people put food on their tables. We are really proud of you, and we keep you in our prayers every day of our life. We are proud of you. And please, vasbyt manne, hou vasbyt, moenie opgee nie. Hou julle oog op ons almagtige Vader, want hierdie dinge gaan nie ongesiens by hom verby nie. En as ons van hierdie kant af ietsie kan verander in jou lewe, al is dit hoe klein, ek weet waar kom ons krag vandaan, en ek weet hy sal ons deursien. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie. Now, Jacqui, you were the one who was our original contact. Is there something you'd like to say just before we wrap up?
I just want to thank you, Scott, for everything that you're doing and bringing the darkness into the light. I want to encourage everyone, whether you're a consumer, a farmer, a producer, join us, SAFBCC. We want to be that force to be reckoned with. We are a parallel system. We don't want to fight the existing. We want to just exist natural as intended. So if that's what you want to do, please join us, join our groups. We'd love to have you come on board. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, team. We've got a fabulous team. We get on really well together. We're doing some great and wonderful things. And thank you, Father God in heaven, that you direct and steer this ship.
Okay, fantastic. And look, I just want to say in wrapping up that if you do live in a private estate and you're looking at making a few dollars on the side, I think this is a fantastic opportunity. I really do. It's just, it's a no-brainer. Anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much. And what I'll do is I'll send you all the link to the video, which I will put up on lovinglivetv.com. The reason I do that is because YouTube is a very, very flaky platform to have a channel on because of overt censorship. And I've had 4 channels taken down off YouTube in the years past. One with over 100,000 subscribers, believe it or not.
Sure.
But that was during COVID, and you weren't allowed to say naughty things about the you-know-what. So anyway, I kept on doing it and kept on getting slapped down. But that's why we got lovinglivetv.com. So I'll send you the link overnight. Please use that one to promote to people and organizations, because this YouTube channel, maybe 3 months' time, it might be gone. But our Loving Live TV platform will be there permanently because there's no censorship. Alrighty.
Great.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Scott, Scott, keep on going, doing this good work. I've been following you for some time, and I just want to thank you for what you did and what you think about our people here in South Africa and the struggle we have and all that. I really pray for you. And I hope you will carry on with this, and that the God Almighty will give you strength and wisdom to carry on with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Louis. And, it's been lovely speaking to all of you guys. I love the down-to-earth nature of the business. I think that, it does remind me so much of the Amish community, because all they're worried about is producing good, clean food that was basically designed and created by God, not by some scientist who's pumping it with stuff. I mean, that to me just sucks. Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, all made by artificial intelligence and going that route fast and furious. Everything will be genetically modified, or manufactured, or processed by AI within the next 5 to 10 years. I don't even think, unless someone, that's why we've come to make it natural, to be the gatekeepers to natural. Because if we don't stand up for the next generation, there will be no natural. I can tell you that now.
Well, I can tell you one thing right now, and that is I'm not eating bugs. No friggin' way. You know where they can put those bugs. There's actually
and what about lab-grown meat?
No way. Anything to do with Billy Gates is going straight out the back door. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that was SAFBCC, and we were talking about their amazing organization. Look, if you live in a private estate, and there, let's say 100 homes in that estate, put out a little circular and say, hey guys, this is what this organization's all about. I'm thinking of actually buying in bulk. And, you can have a little simple order form. They can give you the order and the money. And you can make a business out of this for your community. And they won't have to buy the bullshit that is being sold in the supermarkets. To me, that makes a huge amount of sense. Alrighty, I've been burbling on enough. And tonight we're going to go out with one of our old favorite theme songs. And it makes a lot of sense seeing the subject we talked about. And that is Hier Bly Ek Boer. Have a great evening, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time. Bye for now.
Meer as 61.000 van ons voorvaders het op die grens vir ons gesterwe, sodat ons vry kan wees. Die is my land, die is my reg. Hier is ek boer. Van stof is ek gemaak en sal ek terugkeer. Die Bybel is die woord waaruit ek leer, soos die grond op die aarde. Hier bly ek boer. So diep in die nag sal die vyand kom, maar hier bly ek staan en ek draai nie om, want jy maak my nie bang nie. Hier bly ek boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Soos 'n blaassam in die somer wat vreugde bring. My oupa wat maniekie kon sing, soos hy stap deur die lande. Hier was hy boer. My wortels lê diep in die grond geplant. My seun soos my pa los ek vir jou die land, en jy hoef nie te vrees nie. Hier sal jy boer. Die is my land waarvoor ek sal veg. Die is my bloed, my sweet, my reg. Die is die plek waar my voorvaders leef. Die is my land, hoor wat ek jou sê. Die is my land, wat my mense voer. Hier bly ek boer. Die leeu sal kom, 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 die leeu sal kom.